Welcome to Home Dad Chat, brought to you by the National At Home Dad Network. My name is Brock,
My name is Danny.
and we are here to talk about life as stay at home dads. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
No, I don't want much. I even love handmade crafts made of macaroni. Come on now, you should know me. Times I might eat too much. No worry about my weight. Got the dad bod rocking on me. Sketches on my feet. Cargo shorts look good on me. I'm a dad, that's what I do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Hope you're doing okay with this daylight savings time fiasco that we always get to deal with. I know my body's not doing well with it, and I know people whose kids aren't doing well with it. My kids are doing fine with it, luckily. It's me and the wife that are having a hard time with it this go around. How are things in your home, Danny?
Well, I find that my kids adjusted really easily to getting up in the mornings. They're not happy, but they weren't happy anyway. You know, my 15-year-old didn't get up on Monday. I had to wake him up, and he actually sent me a message because I told him Sunday night. I said, "Look, this is the time change. You need to go to bed earlier. It's going to be hard in the morning." But I didn't stress it enough, and he just kind of hears me say things and gives me the appropriate nod or something so that he can go back to doing whatever he's interested in because he's 15. And that's not a bad thing. And that's where he is. That's where teenagers are. They need to be treated more like adults, but not quite that far out. But anyway, so I told him, no big deal. Sent me a text. And I've said this before, I give him usually the decision if he is too sick to go to school. And like, what your schedule is, what you have to get done, what your grades need to be, and the work you need to put in. And if you think I feel too bad to go to school, you can stay home. You just tell me. You don't have to ask. It's not a request. It's your decision at this point, as long as you don't abuse it. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And Monday morning, he was like, "Dad, I'm really tired." And he has been exhausted from being sick because he was really sick. I'm just going to stay home this morning if that's okay. And I'm like, "No, I'm sorry, buddy. I love you, but no, you got to
Wait,
get
so
up
you
today."
didn't so you didn't change your clocks or anything on Saturday night going into Sunday? Like, did
Or
you
Sunday
run
night
on?
going into, was it Sunday night going into
No,
Monday?
it's
No, it's
Saturday
Saturday.
going into Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Clocks were changed. I mean, and
Oh,
most of the stuff too is phones and computers and
right. They
stuff
all
like that.
automatically flip.
I got the microwave and I got both the vehicles. And
There you
that's, I
go.
think, the only ones that I have to do. And actually, my atomic clock,
Yeah.
which is supposed to update by a radio signal. And I guess because I'm in the basement, it doesn't get the signal. And I'm looking at it going, "Are you going to switch? You got to switch." And I left it for 24 hours and it bugged me so much because I have like I have the Echo Show clock over here,
Yeah.
and then I have my atomic clock with the weather and moon phase and all that stuff. And I'm like, all right,
You got to have
now.
your conversation about weather with other dads. So you got the
Yeah,
whole
it
setup for
is.
it.
Yeah, I love. I mean, I was gonna buy it. I'm like, oh, and Marty's like, "What's wrong? You don't like it?" I'm like, "I do, but I mean, it doesn't have barometric pressure." And that's what she did. That's what she did too. She busted out. She goes, "My God, you're a nerd." I'm like, "Yeah, but you need to know these things. That tells you what the weather feels like. It doesn't really
Oh
matter
my
the
gosh.
temperature, the humidity." And in Georgia, it was very important to know the barometric pressure and how much humidity was in the air and stuff
Sure,
like
sure.
that. Not as
So
much here.
so back to daylight savings time. So the kids are doing okay with it, but how are you doing with
Man, and they're
it?
doing okay getting up in the morning, but
Right.
going to bed, it is just not, they're not ready
There's
because
too
it's an
much light
hour.
outside.
Yeah, well, not that, not here. No, I mean they go to bed at 9:30, so
Oh,
it's
okay.
late,
Well,
so we have a
it's
later
later.
bedtime. Yeah, I would like them to go to bed earlier, but yeah, it's okay. But they don't think it's bedtime, and they've been very, very good about, again, just teach them to solve their own problems, kind of thing. So I have them set alarms. I have them teach the speaking bot. This is what time I need to do this and this, so they can schedule their days, especially because both of my younger kids probably have ADHD or some form of that. So they need to learn how to schedule their days and how to keep
Yeah.
themselves on track. Um, and we'll see how well that works. Hopefully it'll be good for them. But their alarms, I don't know, maybe didn't go off on Monday night or Tuesday night. and it's 9:38 and they're in the kitchen. And I'm like, hey guys, what's going on? Because I wasn't feeling great. So I actually went to bed a little early, and left Marnie up. And no, they're just screwing around in the kitchen. They were Lizzie made, man, because she made slime, all right, which is
Oh
cool. She
gosh.
got a slime making kit. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
fine. And I will say for anybody with young kids, if your kids want to play with slime, put it in a Ziploc bag, get all the air out of it, and duct tape it shut. And then they can just put it on the table and press on it and make it do all the stuff. That's
Yep.
just
That's the way
anyways.
to go.
But Lizzie got a kit from some monster who I won't name who decided to give my children glitter and slime.
Oh my
And I went,
God.
oh no, 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 no. I love you, my child, but this is not happening. You're not bringing
That
glitter and slime.
person that person is getting a real like you need
Drum
to send
set.
that person a glitter bomb.
Oh, that'd be so mean. No, I couldn't do that to anybody, man. Come on, that's too much, isn't it? Tell me it's too
No.
much before I do it, because I will probably do it now.
No, you need to look that up, man.
Just
How to send an
baff.
anonymous package. It'll say like it's something that you get to choose kind of like, oh, this they probably think this is something and then open it up and boom, like
Glitter and
glitter.
confetti. Yeah, yeah. But they're sitting there playing with the slime, and look, I've lived my whole life with having to use secondhand stuff. I really have, and I just treasure new things. I do, and it's ridiculous, but it's how I've lived. And so I finally went out and bought a full set of storage containers rather than like using the old Chinese food containers that I just keep and wash. And then the other, and like sour cream cups that actually they're cleaned out
Yep.
now. So I put something else, just all of that. Like I need a set because what I was doing through winter is eating a lot of soup, and I wanted to make cabbage soup, which is all vegetables, and it's that cabbage soup diet mentality that you can eat as much of this as you want, and it's you don't gain, you can't get calories from it. You know, it doesn't have enough to make you to add to your caloric intake really, and or at least over your what you'll burn. I'm like, I want to do this. I'm gonna get soup cups. This is amazing. And I'm watching, and honestly, watching a lot of videos, looking at Pinterest, seeing how the moms are doing it. I'll admit it. I'm like, oh, I would love for my refrigerator to look like that, just like everything stacked and everything where labels on everything. I was delighted. So I bought a set and I have not opened it
Oh,
yet. Okay, so I put it in because I wanted to sort out what I had and then like get the new ones engaged, right? I didn't want to bring them out until I'd gotten rid of the crap ones basically.
uh-huh.
But my sweet darling Lizzie went in and got three of them. And Monday night when they were up 9:38 and, and had put them in my containers. Not the
Ooh.
old containers, but had opened a box in a cabinet to get them out. And I'm like, and it's like orange and red, and then like a bluish one or a purple one. And I'm like, okay, those are stained forever. Those are now
With glitter.
glitter and red dye and orange. This is fantastic. And
Yep.
to my credit, I will say this because, I do very few things, honestly, that I'm proud of. But this I was because I looked at it and my stepdad in my head said, you need to slap the crap out of both of them. And I'm like, nah, no, no,
Mm.
that's not how I parent, dude. We're not doing that. And then my dad said, well, you got that Mercer Rage. You should let them see it. They'll never do this again. And I'm like, no, no, that's not who I am. I'm not that kind of person anymore. I was when I was, that's how I was raised. And I just took a deep breath and I said, huh, you're making slime. That's amazing. I love slime. And I do enjoy slime for what it is sometimes, but not in my house. And I'm like, this is great. This is great. So what are we going to do with those now? You're going to, you cannot take them in your room. Okay. Cause she's one of the only rooms that has carpet and everything else is hardwood. So I'm like, we can't do that because you'll dye the carpet. And we know where this is going, right? We
Oh
know where
yeah,
this is going. She
totally.
goes, it's going
Yeah.
to come out and get on the floor. You're going to fall asleep with it and it's going to be in her hair and on the
Yep.
floor.
There it
She
is.
said,
Yep.
no, Dad, I'm just going to keep them in the refrigerator. They last long. And I went, cool. That's great. I love how creative you are, and I love seeing you create things.
Can you just write on there also non-food so that we don't
Yeah,
have an
yes,
incident?
because I got a teenager in the house, and he'll eat anything. You're like, Dad,
It's
I had some of this
Jello.
Jello. It wasn't very good. And when you
Exactly.
smile, you have glitter in your teeth. You need to clean that out.
It
So,
looks like you ate a troll.
right, yeah, little child off. But other than them getting to sleep on time, which 2 nights in a row has been difficult for them, but they get up just fine. They've
Oh,
actually,
good, good.
they've adjusted. I had to get Marcus up because I have to drive him to school for his a class that he takes in the morning before school, and I don't have to with Lizzie. But Lizzie said, "Well, I'm just going to get up with y'all at 7. That way, I have more time to get things ready, and I make sure I can show you my outfit. And if it's something I can't wear that day, because she will wear her pajama shirts or the most mismatched things she can find. She had on long underwear instead of tights."
Oh,
And I went, that's an undergarment. I think we need to change that. And she hates it when I tell her she can't wear what she picked out. But she realizes she might need more time. And she's been getting up a half hour earlier with no problem. They both get up at 7 now. And I'm like, cool. I don't know how this happened,
if it
but
was the
I'm not going to
90s, you
fight it.
just throw on some jean shorts over the top of those.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
there
You
you
can
go.
pull.
That's
And
the
I think
style
even today, my
with
kid
some
wears
military
wears
boots.
the weird. Yes, yes. I got her to wear her boots and tights today. It was great. She's got a big brown like sweater dress. I think it's actually just a sweater. It's just big, but it looks like a dress when she wears it. And she's got her tights on, and she wears brings them out her little shoes. I'm like, you know, those your boots would look great with that. And she goes, the pink glittery ones. And I'm like, no, no, the black ones. And she's got basically like vinyl knockoff Doc Martin looking, big thick combat boot looking. And I'm like, yeah. And she comes out and she goes, what are you thinking? I'm like, oh yeah,
Now
go
you
get
need
it.
just some black mascara. You're good to go. All right.
We're going there. I can feel it. I can feel it. One of my children is going to be an edge lord. I don't know which one. I
Full on
thought it
punk
was going to
rock.
be James. Yeah. Yes. I will
Just show
tell
her
you.
Tank Girl. Just show her the movie Tank Girl, and it'll send her
Yes.
over the edge.
Yes.
That
I
with a
will.
little bit of No Doubt, you're golden.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. I love that movie. I
Yeah.
love that woman, and I love Gwen Stefani. So let's do it. Let's do it. And Gwen Stefani, if you ever hear this, I will do anything for you. Anything.
Well,
No,
I mean, the 90s style is
way smarter
coming
than me.
back. It's so
It
crazy
is.
anyway.
Yeah.
So I was at a bowling alley for a birthday party recently, and I was walking around, and these two kids come walking by me, and I took a double take because they had on like the big baggy like
What were they?
Jacko
Jinkos?
Jinkos, yeah,
Jinkos,
Jinko
whatever it is.
jeans, and like just and like just baggy shirts, and I was standing there, and I'm just like, I had like a moment, and my buddy was like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Did we just like walk through like the Wayback Machine, and like all of a sudden like I'm like those dudes are wearing the stuff that like." I was very popular when I was in high school. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. And I
Right?
really don't want to be like, what's the deal, fellas?
Don't bother me, dude. I got my disc man, and I'm gonna go. I don't know what
This is
kids did in the
vintage, man.
90s.
It's all
Yes, right.
good.
Oh man, no, please don't. Please don't. It
So
was
yeah,
like when
that.
bell bottoms came back for a while there, and I'm like, oh God, no,
Hmm.
come on, don't. But
But
they
that came
did
back. You know
anyway.
what's
They didn't
but
listen
what's
to me.
funny is that was a big thing when I was in high school too. So in the 90s, it was like
Oh yeah.
20 years, you bounce back 20 years and it's like, oh yeah, bell bottoms and the what do you call it? There was like the pullovers that were sort of like a wool knitted thing with a hoodie.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
that was really big. And those were all things like if you watch movies and shows from the 70s, like
I would
that's what kids
yes.
wore.
Every 20 years we have to bring back bell bottoms.
Every 20 years, well, it's like I don't know if you've seen this. We're totally not even getting onto the topic we've talked about, but
We don't have to.
so the New York Toy Show, they were put like I've seen like little clips on TikTok and stuff because there's a couple of dad influencers that I've followed for a while that are in that industry of doing things.
Mhm.
Do things like Popples and the monster. I can't think of the monster. And like Rainbow Bright and a bunch of other stuff. Like all the 80s, like these 80s toys are coming back. And I'm just like, really? Like we're bringing Popples back. Okay. Like Do we not have enough issues with squishable, squishmallows, and now you're gonna
Right.
bring this other thing back? I'm like,
Popping.
this is one thing after another, and it's like,
Hmm.
okay, well, I guess, if you can't come up with your own ideas, we'll just steal them from the past and
Well,
rebrand them.
and realistically, even beyond that, those were cool, fun things.
Oh yeah, no, they
No,
were
and
top of the
so
line.
you look at it and go, kids love that. Maybe they love it again, and they do. It's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get better, quality or better, manufacturing processes, things like that to have them out there. But
Yeah.
still,
I mean, we bought Tamagotchis for our kids a couple of years ago for Christmas. So,
yes,
you know.
yes.
And what was really wild, I remember the reason that even got started was at our library, there was kids walking around with them. There was one girl who had like six of them. And
What?
this, yeah, and it was awesome. So like this kind of actually does roll into what we were going to talk about. So this girl, she probably was 12. She had like six Tamagotchis, and my kids saw them and were like, "What is that?" and started talking with her. And she's like explaining it, and then they sit down and they're playing with them and talking about them, and she's handing them out like and basically drawing everybody into her and like starting a little friend group right there
Mm-mm.
at the library, and they're playing with these Tamagotchis. And then every time, like after that, we'd go back to the library and they'd be like, I wonder if that girl's gonna be there again. Like, oh, I just want to hang out with her. And like it was so much fun talking to her and playing with the Tamagotchis or whatnot. And like I was like, okay. I'm like, interesting, like you were talking about, like third place,
Yeah,
like, and that's that was their thing,
yeah,
home, school, and the library,
yeah.
where they ran into kids to get to play with and do
Hmm.
something outside of the box. So
Yeah.
I think from that standpoint, we could learn a lot from our children as far as to be looking
Right.
out for those kind of opportunities.
And we've talked before about the friendship deficit, and I said it earlier, but it's one in four people say that they feel lonely, like they don't have any friends. And as adults, that's very common. And as men, it's even more common. And I don't know if that would skew the numbers if we look just at how men felt about it, but you become an adult and you've lost your friends from earlier. You may have
Yeah.
a few that stick around, but realistically, and we've talked about how your circle gets smaller when you get married, when you have kids, and when you become an at-home parent, you lose that. You lose those people. And just feeling like I'm the only one doing this, or I'm the only one that I can talk to. I can only talk to myself. And let me tell you, you don't want to do that too much. You want to find other people, because I do that too much. And people stare at me when they drive by. Like, I'm in my car and they're like, "Who's that guy talking to?" And I'm like, I'm on the phone. I swear I'm on the phone. I'm having an argument with myself,
Is he a
but
nutter? Is that a nutter
it's
there?
quite nutty. Yep. Yep. You're a nutter. And they call it third space or third place. And like you said, your first is home, your second is work. For us, it's both, but they're all right here. So finding that community outside of that, finding that third space where you can go, you don't necessarily have to spend money. It's
No.
not necessarily like going to the movies or something like that could be considered it, but it's more about going somewhere where you can hang out with people who love Tamagotchis too,
Yep.
or who like Legos or D&D or sports
Or
or
disc golf.
beer or disc golf. Yes, anything where you just go and there's a long running joke about golf in that men are so unable to speak about their emotions that they had to invent golf just to go take a walk with their friend. You know,
I
and it's that
love
thought
that.
of, right? And it's like, yeah, because that's what I mean. I've never played golf, so I don't know for sure, but that's what I hear is a lot of times it's more about, I mean, we're exercising and we're doing this thing together. Disc golf would be the same. We're
Oh yeah,
checking shots
definitely.
and we're trying to get better. But the reality of it is having somebody there to kind of just hang out with. And again, it doesn't have to be spending money. And I was thinking about it because one of the biggest things that I've found in the National At Home Dad Network is community. This
Oh
is
yeah.
where we thrive. This is where we really show who we are. And it's the offerings that we have to build community with people. A lot of them are virtual, of course. Our biggest is in person. We're going to San Antonio this year for the
Yep.
convention. And that is about third space. This is the place where you can go and hang out with people who get you. or you can go and do hobbies. My wife goes to a knitting, I don't know what you call it, thing every week.
Knitting circle.
Knitting, yeah, circle, yeah. I call it a stitching, you know, B word. I try not to use the B word because I don't like it, but you know, old me would say, "Are you going to your blank and blank?" Yeah, okay, cool. But there's a lot of ways you can put it, but we all have that place where you just need to go and kvetch. You just have to
Yes.
complain and or not really complain, but just say, "Look, this is the garbage I'm dealing with right now," and have somebody else go, "Man, right?" Talking about daylight savings is a great example. Having other people you can go, right? This is awful.
Right.
Why
Yeah.
do we do this? Now, you couldn't probably do that all year long, but you can do things like parenting and, just being what it means to be a man or whatever it might be, or hanging out doing a certain hobby. You mentioned disc golf. I said knitting for my wife, things like that. And how very important that is for us, I think, as at-home parents, even more so,
Oh yeah.
and finding more, going beyond the virtual, because I love the virtual worlds that we have created. We have the Dad Lounge. We have our book club is very well attended. We have two,
Discord.
three support groups. We have Discord, all those places where you can go and find like-minded individuals. We try not to create an echo chamber. We do let a lot of people talk about a lot of different things, but we're looking for someone who gets us, who understands us, who knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And I love how much that we do that and the potential we have. And we're probably not ready to talk about where certain organizations of fatherhood are moving towards. But all parents welcome building its platform and becoming the place where a lot of local groups can be created, where you
Yeah.
can go and
Yeah.
say, "Hey, my local dad's group is going to be from here." So I'm very excited about that part of this year, that
Yeah,
we're
no, definitely,
creating
man.
those.
I think that more and more you see dads looking for space, looking for just that opportunity. I think too, like when it comes to big city or small town type of deal, it all really comes down to being able to put yourself out there, and
Hmm.
it might not take the very first time,
Yeah.
and just how to handle that. Because like for me, even somebody who runs a dad's group, you run into different things where it just doesn't work out with
Hmm.
meeting people sometimes. I tried to actually meet up with somebody last night, and they completely didn't show up at all, and it was like a complete like blow off. And it was nice to have the virtual community, like through
Hmm.
through WhatsApp for my dad's group, to be able
Hmm.
to just be like, "Hey, how's everybody else's nights going?" That kind of thing, and then being like, this is what happened," type of deal, and just hearing the other
Yeah.
dads be like, "That sucks." Like,
Hmm.
sorry you had to deal with that. And I was like, "Yeah, I just wanted to kind of get it out there because I'm sure there's other dads who have been in a similar situation, and it's better to just kind of say it and let other people hear it," type of thing. But yeah, I mean the third space is so important and is so overlooked. And I think that if dads or just people in general would be more willing to kind of look for those different access points, you have the opportunity to grow as an adult, to break down this whole mantra of, "Oh, I'm older, I can't make new friends," type of deal, which is complete BS. Because
Hmm.
you need to have that. Like it's necessary,
Hmm.
honestly. Like if you think that going recluse is going to be helpful when you're a parent, that
Yeah.
is by far the worst thing. Like you will dig yourself a hole real
Hmm.
quick.
Yeah.
And that's
Absolutely.
that to me is the thing that's very interesting. It's like people want to know other people. And if you're a parent and you're not wanting to know other people, then you have other things that need to be worked on,
Hmm.
because you need a community. Your kids need a community, and
Hmm.
you need to be an example for your kids and actually showing them what that looks like.
Yeah.
And that's something that I feel like it just teeters back and forth, like with just the way that the thought process of it can go.
Hmm.
And yeah, people just need to be a little bit more positive on it, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And with kids, I mean, it's so much easier because we're putting them in things. We're putting them in groups. It's like for spring break, there are groups doing this or that, or it's for sports, or it's for, like the Boys and Girls Club, or going to the Y, or going to summer camp, or all of these things. And if I had some like larger, more mature person, maybe my dad type figure, who would come in and go, "Okay, Danny, I scheduled you next week at spring break, so I scheduled you and the kids for this thing." And I'd be like, "Oh, cool. Yeah, there's going to be other dads there, and they're going to be, and so you're kind of like herding them into a thing like you do with your kids. That would be fantastic." Because
Yeah.
then we could go, "Oh yeah, I'm here, at summer camp, and it's dad camp, and I don't know what to do." And other dads will be sitting there going, "Yeah, I don't know either. You want to go get a beer?" "Yeah, yeah. Can we do that? Let's go get a beer, or whatever. Let's go get something to eat." Yeah, because food and drink will break down a lot of that social tension.
Yeah,
Um, and I think
definitely.
I think everybody knows I'm a huge proponent for self-care. Self-care is best care. And as an at-home parent, you've got to do it. And mental health, of course, huge for me. And the psychological benefits or the well-being that you get from being a part of a larger group,
Yeah.
that accepts you and understands you. And maybe we don't all agree, maybe we don't all like every other person in the group. I know I've met several people recently who do not like me that are in the National at Home Dad Network. I'm cool with that. The old phrase, you can be the sweetest peach on the tree and still meet people who don't like peaches, right? So you have that back and forth that you get in a community like that, and that actually helps your mental health. It
Yeah.
really puts you in a place where you can go, okay. And we talk about work-life balance. Um, and I always laugh when I hear that because I'm like, I have no work-life balance. I've got nothing. No, it's all work all the time. This is what I do. And it really is because your kids are here. You
Yeah.
have to take care of them. And even when they go to school, you got to do their after school stuff, or you got to get them ready for school, or they forgot their blank. So finding something beyond that. And again, we've got some great offerings already. We have amazing things. But what about your local area? Is there a dad's group? Is there maybe a men's group, even if you're leaning that direction? Where can you go to find just other people who get you? You know?
Yeah. Or do you need to be the person that just kind of starts something? Like that's the other thing.
Yes, you
Like,
do.
like if
You and I
if you
do.
yeah. Well, it's like if you're in a, if I wasn't here in Cincinnati and I was back home, like in which is a very just rural farm, blue collar area.
Hmm.
And, to me, like I'm like, okay, like where can I go to just sort of, I would put it this way, like, and this is me just being really out there, but I would just make up a little tiny little table like sign type of thing, like nothing huge,
Hmm.
and go to a coffee shop and just set it on the table and it just says, "Hey, I'm here to talk. I'm here to meet other parents," type of
Yeah.
deal. If that's you, have a seat. Let's see where it goes,
Yeah.
and see what happens. Those kind of things, that's like a bee to honey, like, or bee a
Hmm.
bee to a flower type of deal. Like it's a bee to honey. Bees don't go to honey. Bear to honey. Anyway, but
I
it's just
got
that
you.
idea. Like it's attracting. Like, oh, interesting. I'm curious of this.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
for some people, it's like, well, hey, I come in here on Tuesdays. That's my day to come in and do this thing. It's like, oh, you're gonna be here on that day? Like, can we just meet? And then of course somebody else is like, hey, what'd you do the other day? Well, I went to this coffee shop and met up with this other parent. And we are talking, you met what?
Hmm.
I'd love to come to something like that. Next thing you know,
Right.
like, and that's how something like that builds. Um, and that I tell the dads all the time at home DadCon. I'm like, it's just that simple. Like,
Hmm.
is it gonna suck probably the first like couple times? Hell
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna suck
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
one, people are going to look at you a little sideways and be like, what? But then it just takes one person to
Hmm.
be curious and you go from there. And it's the same
Right.
thing with, there are so many other places like in towns where you can just do that and see what happens. You could just go to a diner or whatever type of thing.
Hmm.
And So
Yeah.
that's kind of the idea. Like in here in a bigger town, there's so many places to go to and so many people
Hmm.
to meet and so many different ways to do that. So it's one of those things too where it's like almost like a you don't have an excuse. Like there's there's a way to make it happen.
It's easier for you and I than it is for a lot of people.
Sure,
You
no, I
know,
get
this
that.
this is
Yes.
why we're
Not
on
all
a
of us
podcast, right?
not all of
Because
us are
we
extroverts to
have
the
to
nth
do this.
degree.
We have to do this or we'll die. Okay. It
Yeah.
but yeah, just again, and I've done that too. I'm like, there was a McDonald's play place and it was winter and I'm like, we're going somewhere. We got to get out of the house. I don't want to go to McDonald's because I really don't like the food, but the kids love it. And I just sat down and I'm looking around. I'm like, there's another dad. Oh, there's two. Oh, cool. And then I went the next week, same time, same day, and had a little tent, a little tent sign you put on there. Like I can't, I put something dumb on it that I shouldn't have, but it was like, dads want to, you want to come over and have some fun. Let's hang out with our kids or whatever. And nothing came from it at that point, but I didn't keep doing it. And I think
Yeah.
that's something that people don't understand. We talk about a lot of people ask about the support groups we run and like, how long has that been going? I'm like, well, 3 years, and it's going strong. We've got solid groups. Yeah. And it's been very beneficial for a lot of people, yada, yada. Dad Lounge is a good example too.
Dad Lounge has been going on for 5 years.
Yeah. Bunch of people
Crazy.
there. But consider how many dad lounges have run then. If we just do one a week, right? And I know we do more than that. 1,500, right? Or maybe probably up to 2,000 dad lounges that have run. So you've had someone there every week, same time for the same amount of time doing that. And
Yeah.
that's what it takes. It's that reliability. Because, if there was a group today at lunch or whatever, there's a dad group showing up, I would go. Yeah. And I would probably get excited. I would enjoy it. I would try to go every week. And then I'm going to have weeks where I can't go. Something else
Yeah.
comes up or we're out of town or, I just don't feel like it.
Yep.
And if you have something that will be there that you can rely on to be there, then sometimes you will skip it. It's like, it'll be there. But the reality of it is having that reliability is what makes it grow.
Yep.
So people come in and like, oh, you are here. Yeah, I'll be here next week too.
I
Oh,
think one of the things that I'm gonna try to do this year is actually set up a like lunch park meetup on a regular basis
hmm.
where you just pack a lunch with your kids. They get to come and eat and hang out with all their kids, and then boom, they're off in the playground, and it's just the dad sitting around the picnic table or whatever, talking, watching the kids and that kind of thing. And
Hmm.
there's a couple of like really awesome parks around here too that have trails. So it's like they can play, and then eventually you see them where they're kind of like they're kind of getting bored with all of that. It's like, all right, let's go on a nature walk and see what we can find. And it's like let them pick up little rocks and throw them into the creek and
Yeah,
pick up sticks and whack them up against trees or
yeah.
whatever it is that
Hit
they want to
trees.
do,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Or hey, like let's make some fun sounds by like running a stick along like a fence or whatever, and
Hmm.
see what you can do. So, but I think that's something that on a regular basis, there are dads who are like, oh man, that would be a great space to and
Hmm.
both introduce my kids to other kids and then at the same time too get to meet other dads.
Hmm. Yeah. And again, everybody is looking for it. You
Yeah,
just have to find the person that's going to do it. And as you and I know, sometimes you have to be the person that's going to do it. You
right,
have to
exactly.
create that.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't want to get too deep into the weeds on this too, and we really don't have the time ever, but politically, right? We're not allowed really to talk about politics or endorse candidates. We represent a 503c. There's very, very little that we can talk about in that area. But I think we can all agree that, especially now for a lot of people, but really at any time, politics are very, very infuriating. They're very draining. They're very demanding, and it can make you very, very angry, very, very upset. And people really invest a lot of themselves into that. Um, Having a third space is the answer, I guess, for lack of a better term,
Can be,
to
yeah.
that frustration. Having some place that you can go and talk, that you can tell people, this is bothering me, this happened, and grrr. And sometimes that's just our partner, which is great. But sometimes we want that different aspect. We want that different view. And what I'm trying to say is that I feel like if we're frustrated, if these things are overwhelming us, and we do have a lot of people that are getting overwhelmed with it, look to your third space. Find the place where you can go and talk to other people. And if it spurs people to action, that's fantastic. That's where I think we should all be going to our third spaces to create action in our community, whatever that might be. Like we're going to go play disc golf together, or like you said, we're going to sit around and eat lunch or whatever while our kids play on the playground.
Yeah.
You're going to move that forward beyond, there's activities you can add to it is what I'm trying to say. And that really too helps. And then the ability to learn from others and talk
Yeah,
to them about stuff.
yeah,
Go
that's what
ahead.
I was just kind of that's what I was kind of thinking too, just as with the whole learning from others. Also too, like just the idea of like friendship is the basis of the foundation. Like the politics aside from it, like you can you can be friends and have this time with people and still maybe not fall on the same sides of things, and it's
Hmm.
that idea of like, you know for lack of better purposes, like love your neighbor as yourself. Like, hey, like I just, I see you, you see me. We're two human beings trying to figure out this crazy world that we're in. And
Hmm.
if we can be, on each other's side as far as like supporting each other, even though like maybe things are not quite like seeing eye to eye, like it's possible. Like I have
Hmm.
plenty of
It
friends
is.
who I don't I don't hold the same views with them on multiple different things, but we can
Hmm.
get together and hang out and never even really touch those topics because that's not
Hmm.
what our friendship is based on. Like,
Yeah.
our friendship is based on like that third space of just a place to be able to hang out and connect with others and,
Yeah.
and go that route. So,
And as
yeah,
long as you don't think that I or my child shouldn't exist, we were good. Just gotta put that out there, and everybody that knows that knows what they're talking about. So, because it bothers me to think that people, because a lot of people say, "Oh, we should just get along." Cool, cool, we should, but yeah, yeah, you're putting laws in place to make it a felony for my child to exist.
all right, we're starting to go down that
Weird
political
problem.
road now.
Yep. I'm very angry. I don't show it a lot, but I'm very, very angry. I'm so angry. And I have no place to talk about it because, it's hilarious because the number of political conversations have come up on our Facebook page.
Right.
And I am no longer committee chair. I have worked very hard to find somebody to replace me, and I am out. The last big kerfluffle, I unfortunately, our new committee chair, Dale Van Valera, thank you very much, Dale, was out of town. He drove down to a funeral for Tony Hernandez's wife, actually. So he was on the road like 12 hours one day and then back 12 hours the next day. So he didn't have time to handle anything. So I took
Yeah.
care of it. I'm like, Dale, you got to get back, man. There's stuff going on and I'm handling. I don't want to handle it anymore, buddy, because I can't, I can't.
Sure.
If you're angry about something, I get it. I really want to get angry about these things too, but I can't. On Facebook, we have rules, and I am the admin, which means I have to be neutral, and I have to. All the rules say this, and that's it. That's the thing about being a moderator. It makes such a pain in the butt
Well,
because
I
you
think too.
can't get vehement about. And I'm a very
Right.
vehement person, so
Well, I don't think social media in itself is the best place to have those conversations, anyways, because you can say anything without any kind of repercussions in the United States. And
mhm.
it's not like other, outside of the United States where if you say something, like there actual are repercussions for it. So having in-person conversation is so much better in
Yeah.
that light to be able to get things talked out.
I
So,
I like living in a place where there's no repercussions for free speech. Even though it means on social media people can say the most ridiculous and ridiculous in the definition is worthy of ridicule. All right. These things that people say, and I'm like, you need to be ridiculed for what you just said. But we're allowed to say it. And I do like that. I do
right.
enjoy that. I don't enjoy it all the time, but yeah, I enjoy it. Anyway, I don't want to get political, but it is really at the forefront of my mind in so many things. So I didn't mean to bring that in, and I apologize for anyone that maybe you turned it off, maybe you stopped listening at that point. I do apologize. I'm angry. So
So kind of moving forward from that.
yeah, skip a bit, Danny.
Yeah. Hey, so we weren't able to have Melissa on last week, Melissa
Hmm.
Davidson, and we did get her rescheduled, so
Hmm.
which is great. She'll be on next week, so
Yep, yep.
definitely looking forward to having her on.
Yeah.
It's always nice when you can reschedule quickly
Right.
and get
Yeah.
that put back. I think that she just brings a lot of depth
Hmm.
to the parenting conversation and also like kind of outside of the box parenting. So
Hmm.
uh like that whole setup like you were talking about with home dad con being like a third space type of deal like really fits in with her as well because like that's a place to definitely be around people and not everybody that goes to home dad con have some of the same views either. Like that's the thing.
Hmm.
Like they're it's a space that's available for any all dads to come to honestly and still have conversations. And it really just kind of comes down to like you really want to get around people and get like you know over like just I don't know what the word is, but like get into conversations where it could get super heated. Like there's a space
Hmm.
for it, but at the same time too, like there's also just a space to just like, hey, I'm around other dads. Like this is great type of deal. And
Yeah. And
so
keeping it civil,
right,
which I find a lot of in-person conversations and even on Discord that we just stay civil. And we're like,
yeah,
oh, okay. Yeah, we don't agree on that.
yeah,
You and
and
I
it's
don't agree on everything.
right.
My wife
Yep.
and I don't agree on everything. I'm assuming you and Corey don't agree on everything. You do, I'm sure, like we do. You come to an understanding of the other person and, okay, well, this is what we're going to be
Yeah,
because that's what you do in relationships. But as long as you can do that and as long as you can keep it from getting, the name calling and insults and all that other stuff, deep breath. That we're
yep.
just discussing the topic. I think that's very
Which
good. And I do see that at the convention a lot.
which I will. So that kind of brings me to wanting to actually plug a podcast that I think that people would really enjoy. So it's two ladies. It's called Pantsuit Politics,
All right.
and one's from the left side and one's from the right side. They're like best friends, and they've been doing this podcast for a while. I got to meet them in person years ago when they had started it, and actually got to come on the show and talk about being a stay-at-home dad because they had never talked to a stay-at-home dad before.
Hmm.
Um,
We're
but
unicorns.
yeah, and so yeah, and this was like at the beginning stages of being a stay-at-home dad too. But that's the kind of thing. Like they can come together and they're
Hmm.
talking politics, but
Hmm.
in the end, their friendship is greater than their political viewpoints to be able to like
Hmm.
keep it that way. So, um, just wanted to put that out there as like, hey, like here's an interesting,
Yeah.
interesting way. Like if you're challenged by like, all right, like I don't know that I want to go into some of these third spaces because that's kind of the hindrance to it. Like, you know, things like seeing other people work around and be able to work with that idea of like, all right, like maybe not everybody in here's got the same viewpoint as me, but like also need to kind of step into a realm where I can be around other adults. So trying to figure out and see how that works is definitely uh, a good technique to learn so that,
Hmm.
you know, like you said, you got to listen, you got to learn from other people kind of deal and vice versa for others. So, hopefully that's something that maybe might help as a resource. It just kind of popped into my head.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So
We should
cool.
start recommending other podcasts too, because I have other podcasts I've been listening to. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I want people to hear this. But
We
yeah,
should. I mean,
yeah. I'm glad that
anytime you have one that pops into your head, man, definitely. So my kids are still listening to Tales from the Stinky Dragon is
Stinky
still
Dragon.
the
Yeah.
big thing, like that's
Yeah.
that's their that they love that
It's
show.
great. It really is. Yeah, I've been listening to Dax Shepard has a
Armchair
podcast
Expert?
called Armchair Expert. Yeah.
Yeah.
I started with the first one actually, because I'm going all the way back.
Yeah.
And I love it because a friend of mine recommended it, and they said, um, let's just watch the first one or listen to the first one because it's his first podcast, and he's not 100%, and he wasn't sure, but it's his wife, Kristen Bell, is on
Yes.
with him. And then he's like,
Yes.
he starts out kind of controlling and kind of dickish, and I'm like, yeah, I get that. But by the end of it, he's shown that from I haven't got to the end yet, but he's shown that I was just being this. This was happening. This was affecting me. I recognized that was affecting me, and I changed the way I'm talking and reacting from that
Yeah.
point, which I think is incredible. That's something I think we should all do.
Yeah, that show is so cool. Used to listen to that all the time, and it's all done in his like ups, his like third floor of the house is like a studio or whatever that they come
Nice,
to.
nice.
So it's funny because people just roll up and famous people are just coming into his house and
Hmm.
whatnot. My one of my favorite episodes with him was with Jay Leno. Uh,
Yeah,
he brings Jay Leno in and they talk about how they first met, and it's hysterical because it's not what you think.
yeah.
Because Dax was like super young and just out in Hollywood, just being goofy. But yeah, I think that shows that podcast is really cool. I actually got to go to a live last time I was in San Antonio. Actually, I got to go to a live taping of Armchair Expert. It was him and Reese Darby,
Hmm.
who
Yeah.
Reese Darby's the Jeep driver from Jumanji, and I think he's done like what's there was something flags or something like that. I forget what it is. Like he's a pirate type of thing or acting like a pirate. But um yeah, it was cool. I got to meet them. I got to meet those guys there and
Nice.
yeah, it was a really cool thing. They were talking about being a dad. Uh
Hmm.
Reese Darby was actually talking about how he was one of the very last trained Morse code experts out of the New Zealand Army, I think is what it was.
Hmm.
So you get to learn all kinds of fun things about people on podcasts like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. My other one is motherhood and ADHD,
Oh,
because it's really. I'm hoping there's a fatherhood and ADHD one because it's really cool. And they're little. Hers are little 20-minute episodes. Not a big deal, but it really. She said things just in one episode. I'm like, God, I didn't know that. Or I didn't recognize that. The thing that the biggest one for me was, okay, so it's attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Hyperactivity we get, like you see a kid that just can't stop moving, they got to get fidgeting, they run around, all but a lot of times the ADHD is mental, and you're not running around everywhere. You sit and read a book, or but inside you're doing that thing. And I think I've got both because my brain just like goes everywhere.
yeah,
But having that understanding, because it's basically hyperactivity mentally,
yeah,
and I went, I'm so dumb. Of course, that makes perfect sense. Duh. How did I not? I mean, how did I not recognize that? Up until this point, and I think sometimes you just have to hear someone say it before you really get it. And I'm loving that one. It's really it's really broad and a lot of understanding, that I think is helping me with my kids, and it's more about how I deal with my day and how I deal with my stuff and my kids and do things, as opposed to teaching your kids how to deal with theirs.
yeah.
Because if you got it, your kids probably got it.
Yeah, definitely.
Sucks.
That's
It really sucks,
unfortunately
but that's the truth. Yeah.
that's how that whole DNA thing works.
Yep.
Pass it on. Cool. Well, yeah, I don't really have anything else.
Yeah. Out of
But
time.
yeah, man. So hopefully y'all enjoyed the show. Hopefully you get a chance to enjoy some nice weather eventually here coming up,
Yep.
and you get some good sleep.
Hmm.
And we'll talk to y'all next week. So have a good one.
Good night, everybody.
I'm a dad, that's what I do.